Meet Raskolnikov, a young Russian student who is an intellectual yet impulsive man. He has alienated himself from all societal aspects in result of his obsession of contemplating rather than seeking success. He views himself as a highly regarded, composed individual, yet everyone around him thinks of him more as a psychopath. Moreover, he thinks he has the duty to rid the public of evil, while most view this act as a crime. And this is the story of Raskolnikov. In the beginning, Raskolnikov determines to murder and rob a miserly old pawnbroker in order to pay his rent. As an example of his split personality, his other motive in the murder is that he believes it will bring justice to the public. His plan involves stealing the axe from the kitchen in her flat. Next, he goes to the pawnbroker's room, with his reason being he needs to pawn a cigarette box. The mistrustful pawnbroker, Alyona Ivanova, does not let him in at first, yet Raskolnikov oddly forces his way in. Once inside, he promptly axes Alyona when she has her back to him, and axes her to death. Much to his surprise, the mentally challenged sister of Alyona walks through the open front door and sees her murdered sister lying in a puddle of blood on the floor. Frightened, Raskolnikov impulsively axes Lizaveta to death. After stealing a few pawned valuables, Raskolnikov washes up to leave. His composure is completely shattered once he hears some men banging on Alyona's door demanding to be let in. Eventually, the men leave, and by chance Raskolnikov makes his escape into an open, unoccupied room across the hall. Shortly after he commits the murders, Raskolnikov's personality begins to undergo a powerful transformation. As he ponders the magnitude of his actions, his arrogance and egotism are supplanted by feelings of confusion and self-doubt. This self versus self conflict tortures Raskolnikov to a feverish illness in which he remains unstable at his home for a week. Raskolnikov's fellow classmate and friend, Razumin, comes to watch over him. After feeling healthier, Raskolnikov goes out, and after an eventful night, when he returns, his mother and sister are awaiting him at his home. This is the family's first reunion in over 3 years. Raskolnikov is angered and surprised to find out that his sister Dounia is engaged to a wealthy and hypocritical suitor named Luzin. Raskolnikov deeply despises Luzin because he believes that Dounia is marrying him simply for Raskolnikov's benefit. Eventually, Dounia follows Raskolnikov's wishes and breaks off her engagement with Luzin, and Luzin is determined to get his revenge on Raskolnikov. Although Raskolnikov is angered by the engagement, he puts on a happy face in order to make the family happy. During the family's visit, Raskolnikov's friend shows up at his apartment. His friend also happens to be the local prostitute. Sonya comes to try and repay Raskolnikov for the money he used for her father's funeral. He refuses, and so Sonya thanks him and goes on her way timidly. She enjoys the family's company, but is also very embarrassed of her occupation. Raskolnikov and Razumin go to visit Porfiry Petrovich, a fellow policeman, and have a long conversation with him about crime. They discuss an essay that Raskolnikov wrote, in which Raskolnikov argues that there are both ordinary and extraordinary people, and that extraordinary ones have the right to kill, but only if murder is necessary in order to help make progress in the world. Throughout the conversation, Petrovich more and more starts to think that Raskolnikov has committed the crime of the pawnbroker. Next, Luzin strikes at the dinner in honor of Sonya's father, which is being held at his same flat. He accuses Sonya of stealing his money the other night as she was doing her shift at his place. Raskolnikov does his best to defend her, and in the end, they find out Luzin's plan, and he is humiliated. As Sonya is grieving her father's death, Raskolnikov comes and visits her to tell her the truth. He then confesses that he was the one who killed the pawnbroker and the pawnbroker's sister. Although being told this horrible news, Sonya forgives Raskolnikov and says that she will stick with him no matter what. She shows that she truly loves him in this moment. Although Raskolnikov feels some freedom from telling Sonya the truth, he still contemplates and is troubled by whether or not to confess to everyone. Raskolnikov has another meeting with Porfiry. Porfiry apologizes to Raskolnikov for his uncontrollable anger during the previous meeting. Yet Porfiry again tells Raskolnikov he knows he's guilty of murder and that it will only be a matter of time before he confesses. Raskolnikov was still in denial and acted completely innocent of the murder, and enjoyed his time with the policeman. The next discussion with the policeman just put Raskolnikov in more rage. Sonya, a pious woman, encouraged Raskolnikov to surrender to the police and God, persuading him that this confession would relieve him of his burdens and bring him true freedom. Raskolnikov thought very hard on what Sonya said and wrestled for a very long time on whether or not to confess or just to keep on going how he had been. Raskolnikov's feeling of guilt continually mounted until the weight of his secret became unbearable. Raskolnikov eventually went to the police station in a state of near delirium and finally confessed. Raskolnikov and Sonya are living in Siberia, where Raskolnikov is serving his sentence. In this finale, Raskolnikov experiences for the first time feelings of love, sorrow, and hope, emotions that give him the power to endure his punishment.